Welcome back to another episode of ROC Boys Football. We're continuing previewing a few of these games for week 0 and week 1. We got the Florida Gators and the Utah Utes. Dill, this is probably the game I'm most excited for. You have a lot of good games. Ohio State, Notre Dame, Georgia, Oregon, But having two cross-conference games where Utah comes into the swamp, I can't wait for this game.
I mean, this is what the college football playoff was made to do. It essentially allows these teams, the Floridas, the Utahs, the Ohio States, to go play one good out of conference game, because at the end of the day, all the big dogs can lose a game and still, if they run the table, still get in. And if they win these non-conference games, it naturally helps them. So that's like, I know people like to get on it and maybe there should be more, maybe there should be less. It's like the fact that the playoff exists allows this game to exist, and hence, this is the biggest game of the first 2 weeks, the week 1.
I agree with you. Before we get into previewing the game, just wanted to say thank you guys for all the support. We love talking ball. Seems like a lot of you guys enjoy the videos. We appreciate it. If you guys do like it, subscribe to the channel and then let us know in the comment section what you guys think about this game. Dill and I, as you're going to see, are pretty torn on this game. Dill, let's talk about it. What I want to look at this game from is I think this is going to tell you a lot about what this Florida Gators team is going to be in 2022. Last year, the last 2 years, really, you saw a Florida Gators team that just wasn't tough enough on defense. They missed tackles. They weren't physical. Guess what? You know what Utah's going to bring. They're going to run a lot of 2 tight end sets. They're going to give the ball to Tavion Thomas. And we're going to see the Florida Gators to stop that run game.
Yeah, that's for sure. It will be the litmus test. Like, is this Florida Gators team changed from its previous years? And can they win a tough game? Because Florida's got the talent to beat Utah. Like, dollar for dollar, player for player, I think Florida's probably got more high-powered recruits, more NFL talent. But at the end of the day, can Florida play football with a Pac-12 school that's very much of the SEC ilk, the bigger, maybe a Big Ten sort of school, just a power football team.
Normally, when I see a Pac-12 team and an SEC team playing, I'm going with the SEC team. Bigger, faster, stronger. This Utah team, though, like you said, it is a more physical brand of Pac-12 football. Let's take a look at this Florida offense, though. This is what I'm really interested in. Anthony Richardson kind of coming into the season as QB1. We've seen a little bit of him last year, but never as like a full-on starter. Looked great all spring, great in the spring game, and has all the talent in the world, and you're going to get a sense of what Anthony Richardson's about against a very good Utah defense.
And that's like if they can put up like 30-ish points, 20, maybe high 20s, I think you got a really good chance as a Florida team. I like the Utah offense, but it's not wildly explosive. I don't see them scoring a zillion points. And I guess that is assuming Florida plays a little better defense than they have. But I do think if Richardson can kind of be that guy that Florida was missing last year, as like the focal point of the offense and play as well as maybe his talent suggests he could, I think Utah is going to have their hands full if that's the case.
And this is going to let us know if this Gators team's for real in the SEC. Because if Anthony Richardson, what we said, this is a two-pronged approach to this game. One, is this Florida defense going to live up to the talent? We've previewed Florida. I love their defense. They have a bunch of NFL-level caliber guys. Can they play physical enough? Can they tackle? And just be good on defense is one question. Second question is, how does Anthony Richardson look? We know he's very talented. Can he kind of bring the juice? And if those both boxes get checked, this Florida team can be really good this year.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. And you saw them in the COVID year be exceptional. I mean, probably played band as tough as anyone. And so the talent's kind of around in there. You just got to bring it out. But again, I mean, you're facing a team that's you got to play like an excellent game to beat Utah almost every game in and game out. So I don't know. That's to me, my thinking is like, can Florida just play a great game? Because if they play a great game, they're surely going to win. They're more talented. But Florida's not a team that's played a ton of great games. Utah's played a ton of great games the last couple of years.
Yeah, you can see it in the last 5 games they played. Utah runs the table and then loses a brutal one to Ohio State where they were the better team for 3 quarters. And Florida was just kind of a dumpster fire to finish out the season, losing to UCF in a bowl game. I think this Florida team will look a lot different. Dill, here's the kicker, though. So Utah's coming into Gainesville, and they're 2.5-point favorites. It's moved. Florida started as the slight favorite, and it's moved a couple points. And I'll tell you what, if this game gets out like that 3.5 mark where you give Florida a field goal, I feel really good about it. There's a couple of questions I want to ask. Like, one, do you think Utah struggles coming into that early September Gainesville heat, playing 4 quarters in that heat? 1. 2, it is going to be absolutely bumping in the Swamp. New head coach and Billy Napier. That's when that place is jumping. That's one of the hardest places to play. And guess what? You don't see that much in the Pac-12.
That's fair. This will be as good of an environment as Utah will ever play in, for sure. I mean, like Oregon and Washington, they get like kind of loud, but
BYU too.
Yeah, fair enough. So they do play BYU every year, but you're right. It's not the Swamp. They're not as big as stadiums. They're not as rabid of fan bases. The thing is, though, is Utah's a clean playing football team. They don't I don't see them as like a team that flinches, which it is coming to a really hostile environment, but they're not like almost what I thought of Michigan like 3 years ago. Michigan was a flinching. They flinched when they were in those rough environments. Utah's just played clean for kind of forever with Whittingham.
And here's one more question. And we talked about this in the Utah preview. I think this Florida team is going to be vastly improved than what you saw in 2021. I think it's really hard to argue they're not. They get a lot of guys back. I think they're a very talented football team. They needed Dan Mullen out. Utah, I'm not sure I can say the same thing. They get Cam Rising back, who is now quarterback 1 throughout the offseason, which I think means something. Charlie Brewer was quarterback 1 to start Utah season. But they lose a lot of guys who, in my mind, were key contributors for both sides of the ball. Brayton Covey was kind of their get-out-of-jail-free card on offense. He's gone. They lose some guys up on the offensive line. But 2, I think that Utah team, Dill, if you remember back when Devin Bush was that linebacker for Michigan, the year Devin Bush makes a jump to the NFL, that defense looked completely different, losing that Mike Backer who just did it all. I worry about how that Utah defense looks without Devin Lloyd, a guy that they asked to do so much, and he provided so much value for that team.
What about the sneaky Florida Gator transfer and Muhammad Diabate? Diabate was really good for Florida. I'm a little surprised he left, frankly. I mean, it seemed like a lot of linebackers left Florida, but I think he's a big replacement for Devin Lloyd because he was the only real pro talent. Like they lost some other guys to the draft, but in terms of like day one NFL starter caliber, like Devin Lloyd was the guy. Now, do I think Diabate is that good? Probably not, but I think he's good enough where as a system and as a unit, I don't think they'll be as good, but I think they'll be good enough. And we're not like talking about Alabama here. So I think
and another X factor is I'm interested to see what that Florida run game looks like with a guy like Anthony Richardson who can hurt you, Lorenzo Lingard, Montrell Johnson, and then they go out and add a few monsters on the offensive line. I do think this offensive line can work. I think the big question for this game in Florida season as a whole is where do those explosive plays come through the air? If Justin Shorter can be that dude that he came out of high school with, I think this Florida team is being undervalued. I get Florida was ugly the last 2 years, but the talent hasn't changed. Like they're still a good team on paper. They just needed some new management. Billy Napier is going to run a tighter ship, and I think you're going to see a better Florida team. So I'm going to kick it to you. What is your final pick here for the viewers?
I'm a Utah guy. I've been beating the Kyle Whittingham drum we talk about top 10 coaches, and I'll defend him to the death. I think he's very close to that range. I think he's done a really good job, and I think I don't know. Do I think they got like that much better? I mean, last year if they played, I think Utah beats them by like 20 points. So I don't know. This is like just a feeling pick. I came in on Florida so hard last year. Oh, they're going to be national title contenders, and they kind of broke my heart. They made me look like an idiot. So now maybe I'm like reacting back on them.
The tables are turned. Last year I was anti-Florida. I was really down on them. And now, if you ask me who my pick is, I'm probably taking Florida. I wouldn't even take the spread. I'd take them straight up money line. I think Utah going across the country, down to Gainesville, on the road, a jumping environment. I don't know how you can't take Florida as a dog at home. I just think they're more talented. And now I feel like I'm falling into that like shiny object of Florida versus Utah. That's just it's never going to be sexy, but they're a damn good football team every single year. Maybe I'm falling into that trap, but I want to be rooting for Florida at home at the Swamp. I think that's the team to kind of put your money behind because it's going to be absolutely bumping.
I kind of get what you're saying. Like, I would rather be rooting for Florida when they're screaming and they're going nuts and like at kickoff, you just like almost like I hearken it back to the Virginia Tech game right after COVID, like us being idiots taking Carolina. It's like you want to take that home team when those fans are hungry for some change. You know they're passionate. I kind of get what you're saying because like when I flick the TV on, I'm sure I'm gonna be like, oh man, should have taken the Gators. With my brain, I don't know. I'm such a Utah fan. I've been riding them so hard.
We made a lot of money
with the Utes. I gotta do
it. The Utes have been really good to us, which makes me kind of feel like a jerk,
like a scumbag.
Like a scumbag not backing them after how good they were to us last year. All right, guys. That'll do it for our Florida-Utah preview. We will probably preview this game week of after fall camp, barring any injuries, and kind of brush up on what we talked about. Appreciate you guys checking us out, and we'll talk to y'all tomorrow. Peace.